What are the 3 strategies that make budgeting simple and effective? Find out in this episode of The Catholic Money Show.
Budgeting, it's the fundamental financial habit. And it can be tricky sometimes. If you've not budgeted before, if it's been a little while maybe, it can be tricky sometimes for people to get started. But
tricky, intimidating. People love to hate on it. People love to say it doesn't work.
yes.
It's the punching bag financial habit of a lot of people because they think they budgeted, but maybe they weren't doing budgeting how it's meant to be done, etc. Tricky.
Yes.
Is that what you meant by tricky?
Yeah, tricky. And today we are going to go over these 3 strategies, these 3 habits, these 3 attributes of budgeting that if you were doing these, well, budgeting is going to be easy. It's going to be simple. It's going to work for you. It's going to unlock all the things that we always say that it does.
Mm-hmm. You'll be able to taste the fruits of it and actually get some wins around it. Because what's the point of budgeting if it's not working? If it's not getting you results.
Yes.
That's a budget no one likes.
Mm-hmm. So first, before we taste those fruits, let's go back millennia and see some of the fruits that budgeting has produced.
Let's go back to scripture.
Yes, please. So if we look into Genesis story, right? Joseph and the coat, all that, sold into slavery, all this stuff. And we hear a lot about forgiveness, a lot of good things in this story.
Well, he has the dreams.
Yes, of course, the dreams, all sorts of good things happen. It's an exciting story.
It is a really exciting story. When it's up in the daily mass readings, you're kind of in your seat, locked in for a couple of days.
Edge of the pew. So one thing that I think maybe gets overlooked a little bit, you notice it, you know that it's said when you hear it at mass or when you're reading, reading your Bible. They came to him, right? His brothers came to him. He bailed them out, probably along with all sorts of other people, during the famine because Egypt had food. Mm-hmm. And why did they have food? Because he set it aside. He had some savings, right? Some long-term savings. He had that rainy day fund, but I guess in his case, a never rainy day fund.
A never raining day fund.
But he wouldn't have been able to set that aside unless kind of he was budgeting out the grain, understanding how much do we need right now? How much do we need to set aside for the future? Because again, he kind of had a little inside info that these 7 years of plenty were going to be followed by 7 years of famine and drought. Mm-hmm. So he had to figure out, okay, we need to get by for 7 years. How much do I need to save? And now, all right, with what's left, how do we divide this up so everything can work, everybody can be fed now? So he's making a budget. And because of that, the rest of the story was made possible.
Mm-hmm. And the nation of Israel was able to putter on because he saved them. It was kind of amazing. This whole story was so full circle. It was really beautiful story of God's providence and bringing good from bad.
Yes.
There's also other scripture verses.
Sure.
Luke 14:28 says, "Which of you wishing to build a tower does not first sit down and count the cost?" Gotta love it. Another budgeting verse. Who of you is going to go out and spend money at Costco and rack up the charges on Amazon without sitting down and figuring out if you can afford it? Modern speak. Next, Proverbs 27:23 says, "Know well the condition of your flocks." Well, if you were a shepherd, flocks were essentially
your wealth.
George Washington's sitting in your yard because these were the means by which you exchanged and purchased other things and lived, essentially. These
want to
were
buy
money.
a smartphone? You got to sell sheep.
And then Proverbs 21:5 says, "The plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance." So when we are practicing diligence with the resources entrusted to us, God has a way of coming in and meeting us in that diligence and always making sure there is enough for the things that he's going to call us to.
Yes. So budgeting seems like it's a good idea. Seems like it's been practiced practically forever to success. So now let's look into those 3 parts of budgeting that if you do these 3 things when you're budgeting, it's going to be simple to do. It's going to be effective. It's going to work for you. Let's get into these now.
Let's also, before we dive in, note that this is not here's budgeting as a strategy podcast episode. We're not going to teach step-by-step how to budget. We're just going to highlight a few attributes about how we teach budgeting that I think make it so effective and maybe more effective than other methods that are out there, than other approaches. Just to clarify, so if you're sitting down thinking you're going to make a budget right now, just want to forewarn you. Yes. All right, the first one. Let's get into it.
We'll get to that how-to. We'll share that a bit later. We'll talk a little bit about our Catholic Guide to Budgeting, that how to do it.
Yes.
So there'll be links in the show notes, and we'll talk about that here at the end of the episode. But what should your budgeting look like in order for it to work for you? Well, the first thing is that it should be monthly. You need to make a budget for a month at a time, and when there's a new month, you make a new budget.
And the reasoning behind this, and we'll get into it, John, is simple. Every single month is different than any other month. And it's a short enough time to actually control and manage, but long enough so that you can really see some results and make some moves and momentum and get towards a goal.
Sure.
I have seen a couple of different other strategies out there. I would say sometimes there's people that teach an annual budget. I'm not inherently against an annual budget as long as you're also doing a monthly. But some people will just do an annual budget, kind of set it and forget it. And you're so out of touch with the actual expenses that begin to happen throughout the year that it just almost never works out. And you're just robbing a ton of other funds to cover other ones, etc., because it's just too far removed from the day-to-day life when you sit down to plan that annual budget. Things in the next month or two might be really fresh, but then 7 months out, you're just not going to have a really good grasp on it because 100 things could have changed in your life between this moment now and that budget. I also don't recommend the paycheck budget. This is kind of the zooming way in, and every single time I get a paycheck, I am budgeting it because you're too zoomed in. Again, like you might have a paycheck coming and you diligently plan it out for groceries, the gas, the clothes that you need, a trip that's coming up. But then, ruh-roh, at the end of the week, you forgot on Monday, the mortgage is due or rent is due, and you forgot to put that in the budget. And now you're scrambling until 3 more days when you can create another budget. I just don't like that method. And that's another reason why I think the monthly is that. And then there's also the bi-weekly budget because sometimes people get paid every 2 weeks. Again, the same problem here. You're not too high looking down. You're too in the weeds looking up. You don't have enough foresight. And there are just so many bills in our life that occur on a monthly basis, like paying rent, like the cell phone bill, like paying the water bill, etc. A lot of these things are a monthly bill. And having to figure out, am I putting it into the first, second, third, or fourth, or first or second budget that I'm making this month? That's stressful. I don't like stress. That anytime there's friction in our budget, that is an opportunity for us to exit the path of budgeting. And so our goal is to reduce friction, which is why I think that monthly budgeting really is that Goldilocks. Not too hot, not too cold, just right. Not too soft, not too hard, just perfect for what you need. And there's a few other little benefits to it. Did you want to speak into it?
Sure. I mean, like you said, the annual and the paycheckly balance or budget can be helpful. Kind of get an overall look at what you're spending on this or that over the course of the year, or how you are going to split up this particular paycheck. But they are both useful if they are pointing into a monthly budget, if they are in the context of the month that you're doing it in. But yeah, because this is just how our brains work, right? I mean, we've arranged
calendars,
time into months, and so that shapes the way we view time and think about time. So it's just kind of built into us now that this is how time works. So let's go with the way our brains are already happy to think about things and thinking about months and make your monthly budget.
Now, we teach a very specific monthly budgeting strategy. especially for new beginner budgeters. We're 14 years in, and this is not something that happens all the time for us. Maybe we should dust it off and bring it back. The old monthly budget party or the budget meeting. Once a month, you're having a date night, for lack of a better term, to actually sit down. And usually somebody has prepared the budget. In our case,
you're so romantic.
Exactly. It is completely romantic.
Talk budget to me.
It's practical. It's how we're reaching our goals, our dreams, our hopes. This is the fabric that makes up all the memories. Anyway, usually somebody makes the budget ahead of time in our relationship. It is me.
Of course it is.
And then we sit down, and usually there's a drink that you enjoy, hot cider, a glass of wine, a seltzer water, and a snack that both people enjoy, healthy ones, cookies, whatever. And you're sitting down to communicate about the budget, review it, and then just discuss, is this what we want to agree to? Is this capturing all of our goals and priorities and the things that we said we wanted to be accomplishing right now? Good to go? Awesome. Metaphorical, possibly a literal handshake is done. And then you just enjoy some time together on the rest of your date.
Yeah.
And that we do recommend that every single month, have that chance to touch base and to check in. Again, especially if you're a new budgeter. And I'd say the first couple of years of budgeting, this is a really important thing to do just to keep you in the know, on the same page. Again, at this point, over 14 years of budgeting now, you pretty much know how I'm creating the budget. I know how you're spending in the budget. You know how I'm spending in the budget. It's there's not a whole lot of surprise, or we're not really out of sync.
And we've been through, like you said, 14 cycles. We've been through 14 Novembers, 14 summers.
Yeah.
14, planning for vacations, etc. So
We're
figured
very
out a lot of the
familiar.
patterns that come up in our financial life. So it's a lot easier because we have so much data to pull on. We can look at, what have the last 14, or maybe be more useful, what do the last 3 Novembers look like?
Yeah.
Oh, we spent this much on Thanksgiving last year. Great. Let's look to spend about that much this year. Things like that.
Yeah. So at this point, we still do create a monthly budget, but the meeting isn't always necessary. And throughout the month, we're just always kind of talking like, hey, this is a priority or that's a priority. And so I'm making those adjustments in our budget, but that's, again, because just learned experience over the years. But the first several years of budgeting, this was essential for us, just to learning that rhythm of budgeting. All right. And to kind of trust each other.
And I'd say this too. We've said it a couple times just in passing. I said it once explicitly at the beginning, but when it's a new month, you make a new budget. You don't just make your monthly budget once and say, in a month, we'll spend about this much on, birthday gifts over the, average it out, or about this much on clothes. Nope. You look at the month. If you need shampoo this month, you budget for shampoo this month. If you don't, you don't. So every budget's going to look different because of consumable products that you need to refill on different events or holidays that come up throughout the year.
Yep.
Every month's going to be different. So every budget should be different. It's just not going to work for you if you don't update that budget, if you don't make the tweaks that are needed to make it tailor fit to that month.
And I would say a software like YNAB makes this pretty easy. I can personally go in and I'm going into December in a couple of weeks here, and I can just say, bring in everything I budgeted for in November or what I spent in November. Those can be two different things. And then I typically do that because there's about 10 bills that pretty much never change.
Yes.
They're always going to be the same amount of money. So I do that, but then I go back to the top, and then outside of those 10 bills, I'm pretty much shifting all the numbers to what I know the November version of clothing, or the November version, or the December version of gifts, or the December version of activities and entertainment, it usually goes up from other months because it's now winter and we have to pay for more things to actually go have fun as a family. It's not just going out to a state park where it's maybe free and enjoying the outside. So those types of things are getting tweaked every single month.
All right. Well, this brings us to our second attribute of a good budgeting, which is to use zero-based budgeting. So that means, every dollar that you have in income is given a job, is given a role, is given a monetary vocation. You can think of it as, right? You're not just having a pile of money that throughout the month you can, I'll pull some out of that bucket and pay for that. No, you sit down and in that budgeting process, every dollar, every cent even should be set aside for a purpose. If we don't do this, if there's money left sitting around, right, especially if we're new to budgeting, we can think, oh, hey, I put the money where it needed to be for everything and
had an extra.
I got $300 left over. All right.
I'm doing good.
Yes, that's great. You've found some efficiencies. You've maybe slashed a couple expenses. You have some extra money there. But for what purpose? That money needs to be set aside, given a task that is specific, right? It should go towards your current financial goal. Yep. It should go towards emergency savings or for paying off debt or whatever it might be. But you need to know what it is, right? That $300 you found is kind of useless unless it's getting put towards something.
Yep.
And that's why every dollar, every cent, every little bit of money that you have this month needs to be given a job. Even if its job is, hey, go over there, hang out for a little while until I need you when an emergency comes or when it's time to make that larger purchase, whatever it might be. But it needs a job. If you don't, it's just going to fall out of your bank account. You're going to lose it. You're going to
it's gone in the wind.
Spend it here. Oh, we did have that extra money sitting around. We'll go out to dinner tonight. And that is going to happen a couple times. And then all that hard work you did, putting the budget together, finding some efficiencies, it's all for naught.
Yeah. Now, there is, I would say, for early budgeters, maybe for the first couple of years, and you might keep this around to some degree or another as time goes on. Occasionally, we use this category. Miscellaneous. When you're new, you should probably put $100 to $200 in miscellaneous in your zero-based budgeting.
That's a nice way to say it.
It's just the stuff I forgot.
I forgot about this when we sat down earlier and made the budget.
I forgot there was going to be an oil change. I forgot we had this particular bill quarterly.
I forgot we had to eat. So it's important to do this because if you don't set this little bit aside, then when you do remember, when you do run into one of those, that's not an emergency. We just forgot about it. We didn't think ahead enough. Well, now I got to go figure out, I got to take some from groceries. I got to take some from this, from that. Oh, shoot, there's not much to take from anymore. If we have some set aside, perfect. We can take from there and it doesn't wreck everything else.
Now, a lot of people hear zero-based budgeting and they freak. Something in their brain panics when they see zero money at the top.
Zero fun.
They had $6,000 to budget. They distributed it amongst the categories. Now the budgeting software or the bottom of the budget sheet says zero. And psychologically in their brain, it says, I have no money.
You have zero money.
I have no money.
Zero!
I have no money to do anything. I can't do anything. It's locked up. It's a straitjacket. I'm freaking out. There's no flexibility. Okay, a couple things here. One, all the spending that you're about to do in a given month, it has a spot. It has a category. And you made sure there was enough in that category for that spending. You get to decide. So you get to decide going into groceries, for example. Are you trying to save money and are you intentionally having it be pretty tight and efficient? Do you not want to do that? Do you want to be able to have a little bit more leisurely strolls through the grocery store or stock up on some bulk goods? You get to decide the amount there. You get to decide if you put $500 or you put $800 or you put $1,500. You get to make that decision. So any of these purchases that you want to go out and do that feel like freedom to you, picking up a lip gloss, going to Costco, getting a pair of shoes, whatever it might be, it just has to be in a category of your budget.
Yes.
So that spending is you've given yourself permission to spend. You've just put it in a category, if that makes sense. So you have money and you've categorized your money. That's it. You just organized it. It doesn't mean there's no money. If anything, it means, yes, there is money for all these things we just decided to prioritize.
Yeah. Think about it this way. Zero isn't a bad thing. Zero means you did your job. When you're done putting together a piece of furniture, you want 0 screws left.
Exactly.
Because there's not one missing now. When you put together, a Lego set, you want 0 bricks left. So you know that I did this the right way. Now, of course, they put a couple extra in, Jonathan. Yes,
Do they?
That's your forgotten category, like we said earlier.
I didn't know they did that.
Sometimes they do. You get a couple extra screws usually with something. But they also usually will tell you that.
Yeah.
You need 5. We gave you 6 in case one of them's messed up and you drop it.
Yeah.
But again, 0 is a good thing. 0 doesn't mean you have 0. It means you did what you're supposed to do. There's 0 left for you to do now. And you can move forward and spend your money.
And there are now 0 chances that your money is just going to blow off in the breeze on you. And you have effectively and diligently stewarded the resources that God entrusted to you by examining, the priorities that he's given you in that moment, compared them with the financial goals that you're working on, and then went ahead and made a plan. You were diligent with your flocks by getting to that zero-based budgeting. You always have the freedom to shift things around. So mid-month, I'm not telling you to go and free up a bunch of money from one category just to have it blow around and be for whatever. But you have the freedom to say, well, we actually did spend more on groceries, and so I'm going to redirect some of these funds over here. I'm just changing where they're going to be spent. Still 0 at the top. We're not going negative, and we're not having a big surplus. We want to be at 0.
Absolutely. All right. So we've talked about budgeting every month. We've talked about making sure it's a 0-based budget. And now, this is a good one.
This one's unique to the Texeras.
This is one you don't hear about too often, but when it is
It's our secret sauce
of your budgeting recipe, this is when it really starts working well for you. And we are talking about getting a month ahead. So when you are making your budget, so if we're making our December budget.
We're recording this in mid-November.
Yep. So when we have December 1, every dollar that's been set aside in that budget is already sitting in our bank account. It's not counting on the paycheck we're going to get on December 15th.
Nope.
It's not counting on the bonus or the whatever it is. It's all right there. We know exactly how much is there to budget. And this is so helpful for a variety of reasons. Let's go through some of those right now.
Yeah, and I want to say this is helpful for you W-2 people, 100%. It's beneficial no matter what your employment.
Predictable pay, steady
predictable,
paychecks.
steady paychecks. It's helpful for you. It's really helpful, I'd say essential for anybody in any sort of irregular pay scenario. And this was a strategy we utilized really early on in our budget creation, almost accidentally.
We stumbled into it, yeah.
And it was a game changer right out the gate, and we have never looked back. And there's been times when we just couldn't be a month ahead for one reason or the other, with adoption expenses or whatnot. And it's never comfortable. It's not, it's terrifying when you have an irregular income and you don't necessarily know what's coming in and you're living paycheck to paycheck. That's so stressful. It's unnecessary. And this one little tweak, this one shift transfers, I would say 80% of the stress that I see people facing gone with this one change of how to budget. Because most people are budgeting when they get paid for the next little bit of time, and then they're crossing their fingers and hoping they get paid for that second part of the month for the money to show up.
Yeah. Or even if it is, not guaranteed, but it's steady income, and you know how much it's going to be, you're holding back some money for the bill that's going to come. Or, okay, this bill came, but I have to wait until the next paycheck comes in order to pay it.
Exactly.
It's just
I can't pay everything right away at the beginning of the month.
Yeah, you're adding a whole layer of detail and difficulty and tracking and effort on top of budgeting.
Yep.
Where if that was gone, if you just were walking right into the month, you can pay the rent or the mortgage whenever it is. You can pay the bills that come up. You have the money, right? This is essentially why an annual budget can be some nice information, but isn't the most helpful because I don't have a year's worth of money all at once. So even if I'm in budget for my entertainment category or whatever, I can't just spend, the year's worth of entertainment money all at the beginning, because then I probably don't have any food money left for that month. Where that same thing can happen on a smaller scale in 1 month if you don't have all that money all at once. But if we start the month with the money we've got, well, then it's easy. There's just a whole layer or two of difficulty and thinking about it. It's just gone.
Yep.
And so it makes budgeting so much simpler, so much easier. And just
essential for anybody who maybe works on commission or who fundraises or is an entrepreneur or in any sort of kind of not predictable situation. This is essential for you and for your sanity and for your peace, because in those situations, you don't always know how much the paycheck will be that is coming. And then you don't always know exactly when that paycheck is coming. So if you want to set yourself up for torture, you can stay in the paycheck to paycheck, but it's not good diligence. It's, getting a month ahead is the equivalent of, Joseph going and putting the grain into storage so that when they got to that 7 years, the grain was already there.
Yes.
This is exactly that same diligence, that same prudence, that same virtue and skill is required to do this. It does take a little bit of denial to build this up.
Of course.
Because you are going to be deciding, great, I have to save up a month worth of money. And sometimes that's as easy as maybe here at the end of November, you're going to get paid at the end of November. So between now and then, you're maybe starting to just tuck money aside from this mid-November paycheck. Maybe you're going to combine it with that late November paycheck, so you've got all the money you need to go into December. Maybe for some of you, that's going to be enough, and you can pull it off that way. But for a lot of you, you're going to have to start tucking a few $100s off each paycheck to the side, kind of in your month of money category of your budget, until you actually can combine that amount you set aside with that maybe end of the month paycheck to go into that next month with enough money to budget for that entire month of needs.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And just to say it again, because we get asked a lot, okay, how do I do this? How do I say? You just make a budget category. You're just saving it up. Again, the job that you're giving some of your money is, hey, hang out over here until there's enough of you to pay for a month, and then I'll call you in. Yep. It's that simple. And again, this is a really good time to maybe start thinking about this because you might have some sort of an end of the year bonus coming up, a little boost in your income, or in a few months, we're going to run into maybe a tax return. So these are
really good times.
Real times where, okay, yeah, you do have a boost. You're going to be able to make this switch to being a month ahead, maybe sooner or faster than you might have otherwise. Other good times to think about this are if you're getting paid every 2 weeks, when you have one of those magic 5 Friday months or whatever it is, where you get the extra paycheck. Get you maybe halfway there right away. So listen to this.
Oh,
listen to this.
Okay.
So we talked about these things that we need to do, and you can remember it. It's the engine that drives your budgeting.
Oh,
and what does an engine do? It goes.
It revs.
It revs.
Okay.
Because it's got
Where we're going
rhythm.
Where we're going with this?
Every month. The rhythm. And what's the rule you're going to follow? Zero-based budgeting is the rule. And then being a month ahead gives you a little bit of runway.
Wow, the 3 R's.
And that's going to give you a result of some financial peace, some peace of mind, some ease, some flexibility, because you are budgeting.
The 4 R's.
Budgeting. The rhythm, the rule, and the runway give you results.
There you go. Bada bing, bada boom.
Boom.
If you are looking for that free budgeting resource, it's called The Catholic Guide to Budgeting, and it's available over at catholicbudgetguide.com. We will also link to it in the show notes, but head on over there. That is going to give you that step-by-step strategy for getting your first budget up and running. And then you can implement these 3 strategies we just taught on that first budget.
That's catholicbudgetguide.com. Head over there and get started budgeting today.
Until next time, bye for now.